studying Hinduism, how advanced their religious concepts can be compared to our own, and how in a lot of ways Hindus are not surprised by the evidence shown by science whatsoever. Stay tuned. So to begin with, I'm going to show you guys my reference material. So now this book I highly recommend. This is called What is Hinduism? And this was put out by Hinduism Today. It's actually a magazine that's published for Hindus. And I found out about this from the Ganapathy temple up in Edmonton, Alberta. It's a temple dedicated to Ganesha, and I went to a few pujas there, and a girl that I was seeing at the time was actually really interested in Hinduism, and so they recommended this book. So it's called What is Hinduism? Now I want to read for you guys a few quotes out of here just to give you an idea of kind of what I'm talking about. God is all and in all, one without a second, the supreme being and only absolute reality. God is unmanifest, unchanging, and transcendent. The self-God, timeless, formless, and spaceless. As pure consciousness, God is manifest as the primal substance, pure light and love, flowing through all forms, existing everywhere in time and space, as infinite intelligence and power. In Hinduism, it is believed that the gods are living, thinking, dynamic beings who live in a different world, in an inner world, in the microcosm within this world. So you see, in Hinduism, they have this notion of deity, which is actually quite different from our concept of God here in the West. So you see, in Hinduism, their notion of deity, their notion of God, is a state of pure consciousness. You see, to Hindus, the spirit world is within you. It's not outside of you. And the gods are projections of your own psychological energy. You see, the Hindus believe that there is one supreme God, one supreme deity, but this singular deity can manifest himself in an infinite number of ways. I also believe that this same concept existed in early Israelite mythology. In Israel, we find in the story of Moses this moment where Moses comes before the burning bush. And when Moses approaches God, he says, "God, what is your name?" And God responds by saying, "I am that I am." Now the Hebrew words that are used here are Er, Asher, Er, which can be translated to mean I will be when I will be what I will be where I will be, or I will become whatever I choose to become. That's to say that God can reveal himself in any infinite number of ways. He is in no way limited by our expectations or ideas. You see, this concept of God also came through in Jewish religion in the form of angels. If you look in the scriptures, there's this strange ambiguity between God and angels. At one instance, it seems as if Moses is speaking to God, but then in another instance, we hear a retelling of that story, and we find out that it was in fact an angel. Take, for instance, in the book of Acts, when Stephen is about to be stoned to death, he describes that God revealed himself through an angel in a burning bush. Okay, that's to say that what we read in the Old Testament as God, at times, New Testament readers were reading those events as angels. So there's this unusual ambiguity between angels and God. I think this ambiguity which exists between angels and God is the same sort of ambiguity which exists in Hinduism between the supreme spirit, the supreme source of consciousness, and the myriad of different forms that that consciousness can reveal itself through. That's to say that what we understand to be angels are what the Hindus are describing as their deities. Shiva, Shakti, Vishnu, all these different deities are manifestations of the supreme consciousness, the supreme deity. Now in India, they've understood this for a very, very long time, but for some reason in the West, we've developed our concept of deity into some kind of anthropomorphic form. We've turned it into an old man on a throne with a beard. And we know now that this is irrational. To even suppose that this is the supreme reality, that this is the supreme answer to what created the universe, is ridiculous. It seems like a fairy tale. But for some reason in the West, we've been really apprehensive about understanding these things mystically. But if you read the scriptures, I think you'll discover, like I did, that what the early writers of the Bible were describing is little different from what the later writers of the Upanishads were describing. And by the way, the Upanishads are really worth checking out. The Upanishads are a collection of Hindu scriptures which describe the nature of God. And ultimately, the Hindus describe God as a reality within each and every one of us. In one of the Upanishads, it says, God is that which is looking through your eyes, hearing through your ears, and not what the people adore. That's to say that God is this reality of consciousness and is not the images or the icons or the different concepts that people create. God is consciousness and has no physical form. And any time that we ascribe a physical form to God, it is our own psyche which is creating that form. So that the form God takes is dependent upon your culture, your background, and your expectations. So that the Supreme Spirit reveals himself in whatever way makes sense to you, which helps to explain why religion has created so much confusion through history. So I hope this answers some of your guys' questions.